All right, welcome everyone to 2022. I had to think about that. That's crazy. 2022. So today is 1/5/2022. I never thought we'd get this far, but here we are. 2022 is where we are. It's great to see. So I want to open this with, of course, gratitude, but I've done something different. There's only a few people you probably see on right now. And what I want to do now is I've done something with our book club that really has been groundbreaking me. And I don't know if everybody can see it now. Maybe I'll change the layout for a moment, or whoever's in charge of get the people who can be seen on here to be seen. So myself, Ken, Zach, Peter, whoever's on, because I want to do this. This is just for you. Normally when there's 20, 30, 40 people on here, we do something called Smile. So what I want to do today is for the next 30 seconds, Zach, Ken, myself, Mike, Peter, Ashley are going to smile like something is absolutely hilarious. We're just gonna smile. Now look at us all. Look at us all. They look goofy in there, but just smile. Like, oh my gosh, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Absolutely hilarious. Look at us. Look on there. Look, don't look around. Don't look scared, Mike. We're good. You can move around a little bit. It's all good. So thank you very much. You can move it back to just a single host, or somebody pretty than me. You can put on Ashley or somebody. But anyway, the funny thing about this is what it does to your physiology. The go big is great. I'm grateful we're in another year. I'm grateful it's snowing today. It's a beautiful January day. I'm grateful in 3 days I turned 52. There's all sorts of wonderful things in that sense, but something about the smile literally changes your physiology as well as gratitude. So I've added in go big and smile. So we're starting with go big. Why don't I go to Ken? How about yourself?
Good morning, everybody. Great to be here with you all. I'm grateful for my family, the team here at Gentian. You guys are all wonderful. You know how much I love you guys. And lastly, everybody on the call, you, our clients, we get to do this another year for you guys. That's so much fun to us. We wake up and we wonder, how can we put you guys in a better situation, you and your family in a better scenario? How can we optimize things for you? So we get to do this another year for you. We're blessed. We're grateful that you're allowing us to be in that position for you. And we love being on the journey with you guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Peter. How about yourself, Zach?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Very similarly with Ken, just extremely grateful for time around the holidays with family and friends, just extremely blessed with the people that I have in my life, and really just another amazing opportunity, another year with the Gentian family. I'm blessed to be able to have the opportunity to come to work here every single day, work with everyone you see on here and the ones you don't see, and also with each of you.
Thank you very much as well. I appreciate that, Zach. How about Mike? Mike, you're on there too. Why don't you give us your gratitude? Go big.
Absolutely. So I'm grateful for Zach. Him and I have become really close friends since I started here, and he's always supported me in what we're doing, and studying for some tests, whether it's that or working on stuff with you guys. I really appreciate his help, and everybody else on the team as well. But just want to give him a little bit of a shout out.
I swear I didn't pay him to say that, Chris.
Well, you did. I saw the money changing hands
you,
earlier. I couldn't tell what it was for, but that's all right. What's nice, I like to tell people that Zach is the oldest member of our team. People look at me like, what? I was talking to a prospect yesterday and they kind of looked at me. I said, by demeanor. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Well, again, welcome to 2022. What I want to start with, I want to go back to some of the fundamentals of who we are. Every year we like to reset what our offering is to you, because it gets confused sometimes over time as new people come in, but as also as human and markets and the catastrophist media begins to get in our way. So 3 principles that are really based in what it is we do. One is faith in the future. One is patience, and the other is discipline. 3 things that sound simple, but they're not easy. So I want to break those 3 out today and say faith, patience, and discipline are the basis for what we do here at Gentian. I'm going to make a few other statements because you've heard these before as well. So when we talk about this, we're looking at Gentian's new monikers. It's plan it, live it, and give it. And you've heard this. You've heard this maybe a few times this year. It's maybe new to some of you who are here, but why do we say that? Well, when I began the business years ago, I thought it was all about planning investments. I thought that's what it was. Just, hey, what investment, you buy this, you buy that, you buy a technology fund. And that's really what I thought it was. But as I realized and listened to you over time, it's only part of the equation. So since then, I've become an asset allocator. What does that mean? Well, an asset allocator, I look at things that are, what's more important than money? Your time, your energy, your attention. Money is only a resource that if it's used to enhance the rest of the time you have, to focus your attention on something and use your energy toward it, then it's extremely useful. I find a lot of times money pulls people away from it. So that's where the Live It came from. It's like, wow, most of this is really just, we plan this so that you can have a great life and live it. And then eventually many of you have much more at the end than you expected, or along the way than you expected. So you want to see others in your family or other institutions really benefit from the thrift you've had and savings and fortune you've had. So we have the Give It. Now, those three are really the basis of what it is we do. And now what's really interesting, I'm not going to add a fourth, but there's a fourth with an asterisk, because a lot of you are receiving money from your parents. So I call it inherited. So as we look at this, the Gentian Planet Live It, Give It is a basis for what we do. I really wanted to tell you, I realized over time, the money was simply supporting what was most important to you. And it's really, you want to live the dream that you had expressed to us. We want to find out what that is. And we want to make sure this money supports it. So as we went through, Planet Live It, Give It is really one of the more important things. I also wanted to share one thing too. We don't talk to you a lot about what we do internal training. We spend a lot of time internally training. And one of our monikers is AGB, always getting better, AGB. You might see little bracelets or something come out with t-shirts. I mean, we all have to get the tattoo. So that's probably one you might see too. People show that to you. But always getting better is a very interesting one. And always getting better for us anyway, is something about what can we incrementally do every day to be better for you, for ourselves, or most importantly for ourselves, for our family, for you and the community. But ultimately here, it's to serve you better. So as we go through, I wanted to just talk about some of those ideas. We'll reiterate a few more of those. I'm going to go into some of the market conversation, some of the planning from Ken as well. But really, I'd like today to just reiterate our value proposition to you and some of the principles that are extremely important as we start to see markets perform extremely well, well beyond normal over the last, I guess you'd call it probably 18 months especially, but even over the last 12 years. So what happens when that starts to occur? So we're going to talk about a bit of that. It's a lot of our conversations. We do a lot of study on it. We want to share that with you too. So right now, welcome to the Gentian Update. I guess I should have said that to begin with. We're here to share the things that are hot topics on mind right now. For instance, right now we're finding inflation, interest rates, taxes, and the proposals that go along with them, corrections, health, coronavirus, Omicron, and housing prices in Florida. Those are recent conversations that I've had that are very interesting. So it's really kind of cool. But the one thing I want to start with before I pass it over to Ashley, who's going to give us the super important stuff we need to follow here in 2022, is this year, be like a skeleton. Don't let anything get under your skin. So that's kind of a dad joke, but it's also something that came from our book club, which was Love Your Enemies. We'll use a lot of that this year because it was a wonderful program. But as we go forward, let me pass this over to Ashley for the important stuff and tell us what we need to know for the beginning of 2022, Ashley.
You bet, Chris. Happy New Year to all of you. And thank you again for joining us on our first bi-weekly of 2022. I want to give a quick shout out to our Gentian team member, which was Ryan, who celebrated 1 year with our team yesterday. So thank you, Ryan, for being part of our team. And we hope it was a great year. We look forward to many more with you. If you see Chris out and about in Mequon on Saturday, please remember to give him a shout out for his birthday. Again, Chris will celebrate his birthday this coming Saturday, January the 8th. So happy birthday, Chris.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And as Chris mentioned, our team always getting better. On Wednesday, January the 12th, our team will have limited hours of availability here at Gentian as we focus on some professional development. So just keep that date in mind, please. And then Monday, January the 17th is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and our office, along with the markets, will be closed in observance of that day. So again, that's 2 Mondays from now. And then on Tuesday, January 18th, something new to Gentian in 2022 is our birthday club luncheon. And that will be hosted from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. right here at our Gentian Hall for those that are celebrating a birthday in the month of January. You will be joined by Chris, of course, January the 18th or January the 8th birthday, as well as Julie Decent on our team, who will celebrate her birthday at the end of the month on January the 31st. So please check out the bulletin and make sure to RSVP so that we know that you'll be coming to Gentian and to celebrate your birthday. So we look forward to celebrating you in January. Then our next bi-weekly update will be on Wednesday, January the 19th, right back here at 9 a.m. So we look forward to seeing you all. Monday, January the 24th, something new and exciting. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, but it's National Compliment Day. And I just wanted to take a minute to point that out because a kind word or a kind compliment to someone can really change their day. So we hope that you'll join in the Gentian Challenge and compliment someone on January the 24th and hopefully every day of the month of January and every day of the year. Wednesday, January the 26th is Ladies in Gentian. We're going to kick off the year with celebrating National Green Juice Day. So we look forward to hopefully having a guest speaker as well as some tips and benefits of green juice. So check out your bulletin to RSVP, and we look forward to seeing those of you who have joined our Ladies in Gentian Club before, as well as some new faces we hope to see. January the 31st, which is a Monday, Chris will be right back here on a Zoom webinar hosting the recalibration of his book club, Love Your Enemies. So if you've joined previously, please come back and check out our recalibration. Chris is just going to check in and talk about some other things in regards to Love Your Enemies, the book. If you didn't join the book club, we invite you to come check it out anyways. He'll have a mini summary as well as just hearing from our other guests that will be attending and just checking in on how you're doing with Love Your Enemies. And again, we celebrate Julie at the end of the month on January the 31st. Happy birthday to Julie on that day. Michelle Norris, who is a partner with us and a benefit to you, will continue to stick around with us as an option for you to utilize in 2022. So please make sure to check out that bulletin again. There's so much information in regards to some quick questions that Michelle answers, top questions that she hears from her clients, as well as a recipe of the week. So some healthy nutrition and benefits for you. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to her. She is available by cell phone, email, and phone calls if you have any questions, because I know a lot of us have set goals for ourselves, and please utilize her. She is there as a benefit for you. I will switch it back over to Chris. And again, Happy New Year, everyone. Look forward to seeing you in 2022.
Thank you, Ashley. That was a mouthful, man. There's a lot going on here at Gentian. It's great to see. So the book club was wonderful. We might do another session of it because it was so impactful to those who were in it. And to those who couldn't be in it, even we'll maybe do a shorter 2-week session where we do 4 chapters twice. And then you can actually join as well the consistent monthly, let's call it movement, if you will, in Love Your Enemies. It's a great piece. It's a great book. It's one of those seminal pieces we decided to spend some time on. One thing for our team this year, we started the year with something called Think Again. So this year we're re-examining our principles, what we do, how we do them, reaffirming some, but taking things like, you used to, and some of you probably still use Windows 95 on some of your computers at home, and some of you are really thrifty and you patch it together and it still works. What we want to be careful of is using ideas from 1995 when the facts have changed. So that's why we do a rethink and a reboot and a re-update every year on what it is we look at, our principles. And we're going to go through all of our fundamentals of financial planning. I think Zach had numbered them at over 1,000 points. We're going to go and make sure that those are still truisms today. Some of the taxes have changed, but really what I find is the principles of what we do, the fact that most people are human. I mean, raise your hand if you're not human. Oh, okay, so that's just Ken, good. So most people aren't, so he can withstand this without problem. But what's really interesting, I think, is how consistent, if we do the planning properly, the big picture is. So 2 things, I've been getting a little bit older, which is pretty funny. So I don't know, kids get taller, grandkids get taller. I don't get any older. I don't know what the heck that is. What I noticed over time is I was at the doctor recently, because you have to go to the doctor as we get older. Well, and he diagnosed me with color blindness. That came out of the purple. So one of the things as well, I used to hate facial hair. I used to just hate facial hair, and now it grows on me. Anyway, those are 2 older jokes, which I thought were quite funny. That still comes from the incredible gift that Zach gave me about a year or 2 ago, which is dad jokes. So still, I use that. I use it on a consistent basis. And I use the Christmas jokes. If you weren't on last week's program, I used them hundreds of times to my daughters and daughter's friends' amusement, my daughter's complete almost contempt of dad telling them, but it was kind of fun. So anyway, back into this as well. I think as we look at always getting better, we want to look at what we've looked at as a team here. And I think the most interesting thing is we as Gentian are planners first and foremost. We're not prognosticators. We're not investment gurus. We're smart enough to know that we don't know what's going to happen. And I think there's no future facts. So when we're looking at things, we want to see what has been. We want to see what human behavior normally is. So we won't make predictions. We can make some intentions or things that may happen, but make no mistake, we do not know what's going to happen in the future. There may be some pandemic coming. There may not be a pandemic going again, but we want to make sure that you understand this. What I did though is we look back at the year 2020 and 2021. We named the year of 2020 the virus. We named the year 2021 as vaccine. If you could just give one word for both, that seemed to be really close to both of those. So virus being 2020, vaccine being 2021, and 2022, we'll see. We'll name that one once we get through it as well. But really what's interesting is we start to see, as markets do well for a long time, the human starts to creep in. And what does that mean? Well, the human being in us, which is, is the market too high? Should I be looking at doing something else? Well, again, the market did very, very well back in the late 90s. Matter of fact, in 1982 to 2000, March 24, so March 24 of 2000, the market had one of the best bull runs of all time. And why do I say March 24th of 2000? That was the day the market peaked. And then what followed over the next 2 years till about 2003 March was 2003 February was one of the worst bear markets. The dot-com bubble broke. So many people got through it. Then, to make no mistake, if you've been with us since then, the 2009 housing bubble broke, right? And that was a 64% approximate drop in the S&P. There have been two of those. Despite that, to today, if you invested on the 24th of March in 2000, your return was what? About 7.5%. What does that tell me? Well, it tells me the markets are still under their long-term average a little bit, which is around 10%. So there may be some room to run still toward the upside. Now, make no mistake, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just saying the market historically will average on a 20-year period, right? Or 20, 30, 40-year period, right around 10%. So that says there's still some room to run even in this period of time that we're in. And with a lot of optimism coming out of this, and then Omicron, there may be some room to run in there. So I just wanted to illustrate a couple of items here. I'll come back to more of the consistent keys of who we are. But first, I want to turn over to Zach. Zach, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Today was actually a really tough one to come up with a limited amount of things to go through because we actually went through JP Morgan's Guide to the Market. We go through it every single quarter. There were 72 pages in there that went through different US equities, global equities, fixed income, a bunch of different graphs and charts, and really wanted to try to bring a few things to you that we thought were valuable. And one of those is just, as we normally do, go through kind of 2021 returns of the benchmarks, go through one of our fundamentals that Chris mentioned, which is a discipline of rebalancing, and then just a kind of a fun fact or two that we found in the JP Morgan's Guide to the Markets as well. But starting out with the 2021 returns of the different benchmarks, the S&P 500 was up 26.89%. And one thing we noticed when we went through that is that 29%, over 29% is now in technology in the S&P 500. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, 18.73% on the year. The NASDAQ, which is 50% in technology, was up 21.39. The Russell 2000, which tracks small size companies, was up 13.7. And really one thing we talked about consistently through 2021 was the disparity between growth and value inside of the small caps. And that really remained for the entire year. Growth was up 2.83 for the year, but value was up 28.27. Emerging markets was also something that we consistently talked about last year, and that was actually down 4.59 for the year last year. And we always talk about that mistake that people make that we're going to talk about here in rebalancing, which is chasing what did well and getting out what didn't do as well. And what ends up generally happening, revert back to the mean, which Chris has talked about several times last year as well. But really one of the investing disciplines that we really go through on an annual basis with you is rebalancing. And Mike did a ton of research for us just to see how our funds did in 2020, also how they did recently in 2021 and the different asset classes with those. The worst performer in 2020 was global real estate. One of the other worst performers was mid-cap value and also floating rate bond. Some of the best performers were convertibles, large cap growth, mid-cap growth, and emerging markets. This year was almost a complete flip with those. So really what that means is if we rebalanced anytime for the most part throughout 2020, we sold off of a little bit of convertibles, large cap growth, mid cap growth, emerging markets, and bought a little bit more of global real estate and mid cap value. In 2021, the best performer across the different asset classes was global real estate, up over almost over 30% for the year, followed by small cap, mid cap value, and large cap value. So a lot of those different funds that we were buying into last year, just through the annual discipline of rebalancing, were the best performers this year. So there are no future facts. Never know which is going to be the best performer next year, but that's why we own them all and continue to rebalance to hopefully maximize a little return, but more importantly, reduce some of that risk within the portfolio as well. A couple of real quick points just that we found in the JP Morgan's Guide to the Markets, as well as just current price to earnings ratio versus the 20-year average for some of the asset classes. A couple interesting things that we saw is that small cap value, even with the large disparity this year between small cap growth, small cap value, is that small cap value is still historically undervalued compared to its 20-year averages. And large cap growth and mid cap growth were still the kind of the highest current PEs relative to their historical averages. Just a real quick fact, based off of the market returns last year, over the last 30 years, the S&P 500 has gone up 20% or more 9 times, 4 of which occurred in the late 90s from 95 to 99. And then the other ones were 2003, 2009, 2013, 2019, and 2021. So we really saw 2 of those in the last 2 years, which has really helped our portfolios overall. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate that. A couple of things I think that are interesting in that is small cap value, and is the only category that was undervalued of all 9 equity boxes, which is cool. And also really heavily, maybe up to 37% according to JP Morgan, the emerging markets are underappreciated. So I think we've got some room to run in those. But let me pass it over quick to Mike. Why don't you give us a couple ideas quick on what you've been doing for research, then I'll pass it over to Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chris. So meetings with our providers are going to be ramping up in the next few weeks here, but I did want to touch on a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And I'm talking about uncertainty, student loan repayment. So recently it was announced that student loans will start being repaid, the federal ones that is, on May 1st. And like, any equity investment or anything like that, we're not going to speculate on whether or not there's going to be loan forgiveness. But what we do know is that we can make interest-free payments for almost 5 more months. So those are things to talk about, things to think about, opportunities for our clients, your kids, your grandkids, anybody who might be feeling the weight of student debt. Trust me, I'm aware of it. And so if you have anybody who you think would be worth talking to us about that, we're happy to educate and maybe alleviate some of that stress. So feel free to reach out to any one of us. Back to you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it. Before I hop over to Ken, I want to say one thing as our principles is, and I think most of you know this, but I want to restate it. We're financial planners first, equity investors second, and behavior investment counselors overall. I think we look at it, we like to understand each other. We like to understand each other, I should say. You and I, and if nobody else in the industry understands us, that's fine. So the interesting thing about this, as we go through, we really want to get to know who you are, and continually, what's important to you now is one of the questions we'll ask. And I think that's a big part of it. It's going to be hard to understand us, by the way, if we can't speak well. So I'll work on that part of the equation. Anyway, before I continue on, let me pass it over to Ken. Ken, what do you have for us on the planning ideas today? By the way, that's
thank you. So here's a good one, guys. Here's a joke for everybody. I know Chris likes to throw them out, so I got one back for Chris here. So New Year's Eve just happened. Now it's Happy New Year's, right? So what did Chris say to his family at 11:59 New Year's Eve night? He promised not to make any more bad dad jokes for the rest of the year. All right, guys. So with that being said, planning, basically what's on your mind for 2022 is going to be the question as we walk into the meetings with you all. Is there anything that we want to be planning for? Is there anything that's on your mind that you're thinking about? Are you hearing about? Are there new traditions? Are you thinking about retiring, transitioning? Are you thinking about saving more? Are you thinking about income? How do we turn on more income? How do we turn on less? How do we turn off income if we have too much? Selling businesses, buying and selling collectibles, inheritance and legacy planning. Your grandchildren are typically on the top of your mind every time we talk. Is there something that you want to be doing for them or helping them in 2022? we're here to help you help them. You know, helping your family members like your kids or grandkids become great investors like you are. You know, is that something that's on your mind? We're certainly will help you out with that. Gifting. And lastly, a healthier version of yourself. That's one of mine. Always getting better. Chris mentioned that today, always getting better. A healthier version of yourself. Someone challenged me, one of our clients challenged me and said, hey, look, if you do this one thing, it will end up being the number 18,250. And I said, what was that? If you do 50 push-ups per day, you end up having 18,250 at the end of the year. Because 18,000 seems like a big number, but if you break it down into a daily dose, a little more tolerable. So you add in sit-ups, you add in squats or push-ups to all that, like I mentioned, you could end up at 54,750 if you had 3 categories. Not talking about the Dow Jones now, but we're talking about the categories of those. So just a little thing that we're going to do. If you want to come along with the challenge with me this year, as we meet and we can rattle off our numbers to each other, that would be a lot of fun to do. So again, anything on your mind for this year, we're here to help you. Again, there's a range from health insurance to income to transitioning to retirement to saving. We will certainly help you quantify and make really, really great decisions for yourself in 2022.
Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate that. A couple of things on our mind too, as we look at this, is having an outward mindset, thinking less of ourselves, more of others, you especially, other people that need more help and need help in general, I should say. Those are important things for us. And another important principle on this always getting better is create more than you consume. So if you think about this, these are 2 things that you can ruminate on. And I think many of you do it, and we've learned them from you as well. So let's create more than we consume. Are we consumers here on this earth? Are we creators for other people? We really hope and seek to be the creators if nothing else. So there's some concepts that came from last year. The third one would be love your enemies. And for those of you who are on the book club several times, and I see Corinne Kinnick is on here, I see my mom Kathy's on here. I can go through and see a lot of you who were on the book club. It was a lot of fun, and you didn't have to participate or even read the book in some cases. It was just fun to hear everybody's opinion across the board. But it's a wonderful thing to see you all on here as well. Now, what I wanted to look at is, remember, we're financial planners first, equity investors second, behavioral investment counselors overall. What does that mean? Well, we believe that successful investors continually act on a plan, and really failed investors act continually on the random, episodically current events that occur. And they say, oh, this is happening. So, you know, there was a story that I just recently read of somebody who had, and you may know somebody like this, when Omicron was announced, they sold their whole portfolio. So let's sit in cash for 4 or 5 weeks. At this point, that was probably not such a good idea. Also, when the first thing in the year of the virus, 2000, when people did that in March, from March to today, they lost literally half of their portfolio by not getting back in. And I'm sure it wasn't you, because I know you're clients of ours, but to those who did, it was a really random, episodic, catastrophist media. Those are big words for bad media telling you to do the wrong thing. So as I look through, really the key is it's simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. And that is the behavioral underpinning of our entire goal-focused, planning-driven investment policy is this. And that is that it is not intellectual or financial. It is temperamental. So think about that. It's not intellectual. Really? You sure? Really super smart people aren't? No, matter of fact, it's not even financial necessarily. It's temperamental. Do you have the temperament of faith, patience, and discipline to actually achieve the 10% return in the market and not miss out on some of the best days by being, quote, outer timing it? You guys are all great. But these are the things that I think, like Vince Lombardi and other great coaches over time, have coached people to. And our goal is really to be a coach for you to become a great long-term investor. So as we look at that, when we get the questions, you know, is the market too high? What do we do? We're going to come back with another question. Well, what might we do if that was the case? I think some of the different ideas as well that we have here, and I'll do more of this. You're going to see coming out from us some new videos, some ideas that are coming out to really give you a dose of some of the questions that are hitting us or some of our long-term policies here. Once a month, probably once per quarter to begin with. If we have more than that, we'll do a question of the week or the month. And we just want to give you more information that you can consume on your own basis. But we're going to put a letter out to you coming out like we do every January and July, reiterating and restating our value proposition to you. In it, we want you to reaffirm it. So if you just respond on the email, or if in our meetings, we say, have you said that? We say, yes, here's who we are. We are planning based first. A lot of times people will come in as prospects and talk about and be completely surprised about, we're not talking about investments. No, so investments are a matter of opinion. The planning we do can be a matter of opinion, but mostly a matter of fact over history, and it's timeless. And it's to get the human out of the equation so we can continually act on a plan, not the quote current events. So I think a lot of people get their frustration in the beginning. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that was the case. But over time, those of you who've been with us understand why it works. We need to be in the markets to get the return of the markets, and you can't guess when that happens. So as we go further this year, we'll reiterate some of those, but of course, we're going to be here for you. Now, these are bi-weekly. What I want to reiterate to you as well, when the market was really rough back in 2000, March, if you will, when coronavirus came out, we'll reiterate that this will become weekly again. Right now, the cadence is every 2 weeks, just to give you an update of what's going on with us and our thoughts. And this was really born out of the year of the virus. I'm very appreciative of that year, and I've got great gratitude for it because it did put some practices in that I think are going to be timeless, very useful, and very necessary for you and accretive. But I want to make sure you know this forum is available now and will be available when massive events happen that everybody's surprised with. Because remember what the markets dislike. The markets dislike the next unknown crisis. Now listen to what I said. The markets most react to the next unknown crisis. What that means, after a terrorist attack that occurred in 2001, the next terrorist attack was not unknown, it was expected. After the virus occurred in 2000, the next variant is expected, right? Those are expected. It's the unknown that will occur. I've heard a lot of people talk about China, and Russia and some of the different issues going on there. Those are relatively known facts. Those are things that people know. But the unknown thing, the thing that comes out of left field, nobody's talking about is what does it. So offering you perspective like that as well is hopefully good for you. We'll talk about current events. We'll talk about things going on when there is anything passed in tax, when some of the different parties are having trouble, reconciling some of the things they want to do. But until then, we'll continue on. We'll make sure we're looking at great advice on the tax front, the investment front, the planning front, but also on the living front. We want to make sure we give you that as well. It's your choice to consume the planning side of the equation, the living side of the equation, and eventually for many of you, the giving side of the equation. They're all there for you. The menu's there. You can choose what it is you'd like from us. So with that, I want to sign off from our team. We very much are fortunate enough, and we hope that this is another year that we get to be your number one advisor and the one that serves you. We're grateful for that idea. We want to help you plan it, live it, and give it. That's really what our moniker is for here as well. And I used to say, stay safe, stay positive, and be grateful. Let's say, stay healthy, stay positive, and be grateful. That's probably, and stay grateful, I should say. So that's a new one. One thing I want to end with is the vitamin C principle. And this is why we do what we just said. Anybody here know the vitamin C principle? Nobody raised their hands, so that's good. The vitamin C principle is it doesn't stay in the body for long. So the fundamentals we've just given also don't. It's the financial principle called vitamin C. You need to have constant doses of it because it just doesn't stay around. So with this, as you get further away, we need to have constant doses of inspiration, constant doses of what it is we do, of doing the right thing. Because otherwise the media, family, the people that you meet out there in the world, you are one of 100, one who understands what it is to be a great investor. The world does not. The good news is the world does not. We get to take advantage of them by rebalancing. We get to take advantage of them when the market corrects. They don't. So I don't mean that there's anything wrong with them. We just know the behavior. We're going to help you continually capitalize on that. So with the vitamin C principle here, thank you for listening again to our principles. Thank you for tuning into a little longer program today than normal, an extra 4 or 5 minutes. But I do say most of all, thank you for the introductions to the people that you're introducing. Thank you for screening those people to us in great introductions. We're still open. We're still growing. We're looking at ways to help your family, as Ken and Zach had mentioned as well, down the line. If you don't have children, helping you with anything that's important to you is really the key as well. But I want to make sure you know we're here for you in the year 2022. Thanks again for your attention and extra time today. Now, I learned something yesterday with a huge group that I was on, and it was about this. I showed you the smile. You know what else is super important? They found that the physical giving of a high five and touch is extremely important. One of the things you can do when you wake up in the morning is in the mirror, give yourself a high five. Now, whoever cleans the mirror is going to be really pissed off at you, but still, it's going to be one of those things, hit the same spot every day, but literally. So what I want to end with you is a high five for the year 2022. I want to give you a little energy and a little positive focus. Everybody put your hand up. Let's all do a little high five for 2022. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you this year.